Hey guys, what is up? AwesomeTheSauce here. Hope you guys are having a great day and welcome to a video that I did promise last week. We're gonna be talking about the most recent dev diary. This is a huge dev diary. So without further ado, I thought I'd break down some very interesting things in the dev diary. I posted the link in the description so you guys can read it for yourselves. Let's get right into it. The first point that I really wanted to bring to y'all's attention is the idea of an infraction system. Basically, right, the infraction system would be in place to specifically target people that I guess play toxic. Now, here's the thing. There's no definitive, objective way to be like, yo, this is toxic play. But I think they're gonna try their best to do this by looking at specifically the win conditions of people that jade. So if you guys are unfamiliar with what jading really is, basically you just run a lot of resist. We're talking 75 or something. You run a lot of healing like my life wizard, but maybe even more than this, honestly. You would give up a lot of other stats. You give up your damage. You would be nowhere close to 100. So when you jade, essentially you're playing for timer, right? Whether you go first or second kind of determines whether you win that timer situation. It's a long story, but really you're just playing for timer. So now, if the game does go to timer, they're thinking in this dev diary of just calling every draw just a loss for everybody. What does that mean? That means that if it goes to timer, you're both losing 16 rank. No one wins from a timer situation anymore. Now that already, in my opinion, discourages a lot of people from setting super hard and just, you know, sitting on their ass and healing, because if it goes to timer, it doesn't matter whether you go first or second, you're still gonna lose rank, right? If you care about rank, that's gonna stop. But what if you care about griefing? Well, they're gonna make, apparently, the idea of a draw, if you play for a draw very, very regularly, right? It's gonna cause an infraction that makes you have a matchmaking cooldown. Now, this isn't like a crazy idea. This is already in Beast Moon, so I guess they already have, like, kind of the stuff in place. Like, let's say that you Q dodge, or let's say that you, like, right, in Beast Moon, let's say you just leave mid-match in Beast Moon. That's very annoying, and that does allow some sort of matchmaking cooldown to be put on you. Something similar might be coming to PvP if you constantly play for timer as a way, I guess, to antagonize your opponent. They also interestingly added the idea of Q sniping and setting for individuals as falling under this infraction system. Now, this is something that streamers deal with quite a bit, and there's currently no real punishment for it. I hope that there is a punishment for it, because I think it's frankly ridiculous to watch a stream, know what school someone's on, run 95 resist, and pretend you're doing anything, right? I think watching someone stream is enough to have enough of an advantage, but to set on top of that is so stupid, and I genuinely think a matchmaking cooldown for going that far is not really outside the realm of possibility, in my opinion. I think going in with 95 resist to any school just shows that you don't actually care about that school. Like, if you get that person, you're just there to give them a hard time. Let's just be honest. Even 80 resist is pretty much there. I'll be very honest. And I run 80 resist on a couple of schools. That's definitely something that might be coming. Infraction systems. It's a gray area, in my opinion. It could be good or it could be bad. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Another really, really interesting topic in this dev diary was the idea of stacking strategies. And we're talking about a blade into the blade into the blade into the blade into the hit, and trap into the trap into the trap into the trap into the. Now, one short-term thing that they did, and I covered this already, but in case you guys didn't know, Eye of Vigilance now lets you gain pips when someone else blades a lot. So this is actually a very decent counter, right? It's very neutral if you're removing 3 blades, but you're gaining a pip as you do it, and you might stop them in their tracks, at least momentarily. But I don't think this is enough. Now, the rationale between allowing stacking strategies is the idea that you can think ahead, right? Let's say that you stack 3 blades. You can anticipate that your opponent's going to turn those 3 blades into something like shields, and you can use those shields against them like people do with a myth mastery and a spell like Jin's defense, right? You're turning someone's shields into your own shield, and that's fine and all. I think the idea of thinking ahead is actually very important in PvP, and having the move to a move to counter your counter is obviously smart. That's not honestly my issue with stacking strategies at all. My issue honestly lies with the fact that you have unlimited copies of triple blades for 1 pip, and there's no unlimited copies of blade removals, because all your blade removals are main deck. What that means is, like, let's say you just don't pull this for a round or 2, right? Let's say you just don't pull this for one or 2 rounds. Someone could literally Stormblade once, right? Elemental Blade regularly on the 2nd turn, and then throw in a TC Elemental Blade on the 3rd turn. And they really seal the deal on the other 2 blades when they throw up this Elemental Blade, because let's say that I were to remove it, they can just keep on digging in their side and keep on covering blades for 1 pip. Essentially, you could create a wall around your stacking strategy for 1 pip, while your opponent has to dig in their main deck and use 3 pips. If they're serious about dealing with actual making it so that blade stack and trap stack are just as viable as every other strat, then I think they really need to take a serious look at TC Spirit Blades, TC Elemental Blades, and the TC Tri-Traps as well. If you're gonna stack, you should be cycling your main deck for various buffs, and you need to cycle them in a way that makes the order in which you do it better. Because right now, that's just not what people are doing. They just trap into the trap, hope for a deck fail, and then just cover with TCs for 1 pip over and over again, to the point where they just run you out of your 3 pip counters over time. It's ridiculous. I think putting a TC ban on these would actually work, but it doesn't have to be like that, right? You can make TC versions of these as well that are readily available. One or the other should be a thing that they consider, because otherwise, you're already running a small deck as a stacking strat, but you have 1 pip counters, unlimited versions of them. That's ridiculous. All you would need to do is make TC versions of the Rochambeau spells, or make these not in PvP. One or the other makes perfect sense in my opinion. Hopefully they look at that, or I don't know, whatever else they think is viable. But right now, I don't think this small change is anywhere close to enough. And I understand thinking ahead, but thinking ahead is one thing, and running a very small deck with unlimited 1 pip counters to any counter to your blade stack or trap stack, quite another thing. Now, the last thing that I wanted to talk about is their point about healing. Now, right now, healing is very, very powerful, but they're thinking of phasing out the incoming healing stat for more interesting stats. Now, I don't know what that means, but that could be really cool. I think because you can't enchant shads, healing is just a little too good right now. Obviously, healing should be a viable counter to damage, but right now, right, a shad is basically countered by 1 satyr, and a shad is supposed to be, I believe, 3 pips plus the actual pip cost of the spell. So right now, you have basically 2 times as effective. Healing is 2 times as effective, and that's if they have no debuffs on their shads. Let's not forget about the fact that you can fortify, the fact that you can bubble control well on schools like Life. You could also weakness a lot. Like, you can make it so you never take a buffed hit, and then healing just becomes on another level. Considering there's already ways to buff heals like auras, like bubbles, like blades, I think it makes a lot of sense to make actual healing as a stat go down, or they can make actual healing spells go down for PvP specifically. This could be a big deal. Like, if they get it right, healing could be in a good spot. I honestly prefer, if I'm being really honest, that they make anti-healing spells like Infection, for example. I think they should make like TC infections, for example, like -75. I think they should make 1 pip versions of these for like -80 or something even. I don't know, like you could go hard on this, and it makes sense, right? You're giving up a round to counter something your opponent doesn't even have to do. I don't think they need to do a timer penalty for healing if they do nerf incoming, or if they do nerf healing per pip on like spells like Satyr, but I think the best way they should go about it is just making spells like Infection better. I think literally making Infection better would solve so many issues for healing already, so I feel like that should be the place to start. But again, that's just the way I see things. But yeah, guys, that's me covering what I think are the most interesting aspects of the dev diary. I didn't even cover everything. There's all kinds of little hints and things that they're putting in. They're little teasing us, you know, about all this upcoming update. So check out the dev diary in the description. I'm also hosting a roundtable on Thursday, so make sure you check that out. Turn on notice for that, because the devs are going to be on board, and we're going to be talking about all of these issues and more, and we're going to be involved in the chat a lot. As always, drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think about all these upcoming changes in this dev diary. And if somebody has not told you you're awesome today, they're doing something wrong. So stay awesome. And yeah.